Welcome to Fluent and Chill. I was going to say influenza and chill, but I'm feeling a little bit better. Jay, how you doing, man?
Running good, brother. Running good. I was worried about you more than anything, but it sounded like you look like you're running good. So
I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm a little, you can see a little whiter than usual. But that's why I'm coming down to Florida to see you next month, and maybe I'll get some color back. We got a big show. I love all our shows, mind you, but Mail Drop is going to be huge today with some incredible questions. You have a beef, and for once, it's not with me. It's with the NBA. I think it's with the NBA, and they're all NBA team. Some tweaks that they made. So we're going to talk about that. I believe you have 3 of the NCAA Final Four that when we picked from the Sweet 16 to the Elite 8 to the Final Four, you got 4 of them right. I got 1, and it's the other one. So it's your 3 versus my 1. We're going to make our picks, but I'm sticking with my 1. I'm just telling everybody right now. It's me against me, and you'll find out who against the world. They're my only team that made it. Listen, I told you, I played college basketball. I don't know how to pick them. But listen, if you listen to me, I'm sorry. If you listen to Jay, hey, congratulations.
I know a little bit. Just a little bit.
A little bit. You watch it a little bit. You watch it a little bit more than me. I'm still bitter. You've let it go. I'm bitter.
Well, I'm a little bit more connected, Tone. You know, I went to high school with Dan Hurley at Connecticut. You know, I grew up with Bob Hurley at Arizona State. So I peek my head in with these guys. You know, I'm familiar with Shaheen Holloway. I know who that. So I do peek my head in with these guys when they're playing and when they coach and stuff like that. So I am a little emotionally.
You admit you had inside information.
I did not have inside information. Whoa, we're not going to go that far. But what I will say is that I am a little more emotionally attached than I'd like to admit.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
All right. See, I disconnected. So, but first, we're starting with conspiracy. And we're starting with conspiracy because, heck, that's what you guys wanted us to start with.
Yeah.
And this one, I was going to do something crazy. I was make all the lights turn off. Maybe I still will. I don't know. But we're obviously talking about the Super Bowl and the blackout. Falcons and your 49ers.
Yes.
So I have a feeling I know where you're going to stand on this one. But a lot of people said that it was rigged. New Orleans, the Ravens are up big 28-6 on your 49ers after a 108-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. And then the lights
to start the third quarter, by the way. It wasn't like it was in the middle of the game. That's how we come out from the half. That's what we're dealing with.
Yes, halftime, great halftime show, kickoff, bam, and then the lights go out. For 35 minutes, a lot of people were screaming right at the time. Ed Reed was saying this. Ray Lewis, to this day, says the NFL... There's a trillion. I think he actually maybe said a zillion. Let me double check his quote. Ray Lewis said this is a $1 zillion company and they can't keep the lights on. So the lights go out 35 minutes. Then the 49ers come back. I believe 17 unanswered points. They make a game of it and almost steal what was looking to be a blowout victory. So there's kind of the high level parts of it. If you can, I don't know if you can, take off your 49er fan hat for a minute and look at it from your conspiracy theorist hat. What do you think? Fixed, rigged, or just something crazy that happened?
I said the next day I went into work and I said, had the 49ers won that game, whoever turned the lights out was the MVP of the Super Bowl. That's what I said. They were about to put 50 on the 49ers that day. They were on their way to smoking us. That was the situation. Cap couldn't get anything going. Crabtree couldn't get anything going. Frank Gore was stuffed at the line of scrimmage regularly, right? Our offense was at a stalemate. Defense, we couldn't stop these guys. I'm talking about Flacco looked like he was an all-pro quarterback that day. No doubt about it. And we could get nothing going. So I'm looking at this unit, and I'm thinking, they're going to put 50 on us. So when the lights went out, I'm thinking to myself, this is good. I don't know how good it is, but I didn't, to be honest with you, Tone, I didn't think much of it. I didn't think that I honestly thought that it was a power outage. I didn't think that there was somebody who maybe tripped the lights, or there was a possibility that somebody would be bold enough to make that claim, to try to do something like that. I didn't think that that was going on, but I did welcome it because of the result. I will tell you that. Now,
well, it's funny because it's in an NFC stadium, so you think,
yes,
why would they help the NFC team? Well,
right?
maybe that's why. And let me just, the official word was that it was either, I don't know how you can be given official word and it's either, but okay. The official word is there was a malfunctioning switch, or I love this one, or an incorrect electrical setting.
What the hell does that even mean?
I don't know. That's why I said if that's the official ruling, was either a malfunctioning switch or an incorrect. Maybe it was set to turn the lights off at a certain time. I don't know.
Well, let's make sure we clear, Tone. I mean, we didn't just find out a couple of days ago that the Super Bowl was going to be here. We knew this months in advance. So the setting up the light,
quadruple check, no?
Right. So we made sure that the sprinklers weren't on. We made sure that the lights didn't turn on at a specific time. Is there realistic logic that somebody could have done this and fixed this to where we had a better game? Well, this has never happened before, Tone. So there is no evidence to point toward this possibly being something. No, we never had that. So could it be? I think it's more of a fluke thing more than it's a conspiracy. I think it's more of a fluke thing than it was something fixed.
Let me ask you one more question. If I check your travel records, will I find a trip to New Orleans in 2013?
You will not. No, you will not.
Around the end of January, early February.
You will, and to be honest with you, Tone, if it meant my boys winning the Super Bowl, you might be able to coax me into doing something like that. You might. I might, if I get my jail sentence knocked down to like a couple of months, you might be able to nudge me into doing something like that.
Oh, I don't even care. If you told me, now granted it was outdoor, but if you told me in 2006, all I had to do was turn off the lights and the Bears beat the Colts.
Just strip the switch, Stone. That's it. You don't got to do nothing else.
Just show me which one.
And you got to bam. This door is going to be open. This is the switch. All you got to do is trip the switch at this time and then leave.
Yep. And I'll tell you, and no one's pulling me off. I don't care if Ray Lewis came in there. He couldn't knock me off that switch. I'm doing it. I'm doing it 100%. I'm doing it. Okay, so let's make we always do our was it or not. So out of 10, was it a conspiracy? 10 being absolutely yes, 1 being absolutely not. How do you rank it?
I think it was a 3. And the reason why is because of the evidence from the past. Tone, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure you remember when Freddie Brown threw the ball to James Worthy after Michael Jordan hit that shot. Only except James Worthy doesn't play for North Carolina. He plays for Georgetown. I mean, only except James Worthy doesn't play for Georgetown. He played for North Carolina. Do you remember where that game was? Yeah, it was in New Orleans.
Was it in New Orleans?
Yes, sir. It was in New Orleans. So fast forward the clock 11 years later. Do you remember when Chris Webber grabbed the ball off the backboard and traveled and they didn't call it? And not only did they not call it, but he was a deer in headlights and he couldn't get that basketball away from him quick. You know where that was?
You mean when he pulled the Donovan Mitchell?
Absolutely. You know where that was, right? That was in New Orleans also.
You know what? Maybe it's that. Listen, I always hear rumors about New Orleans and that
that spooky kind of place.
Spooky kind of place, yeah.
Right.
That's why I like going there. I don't. I'm talking about. I love like Halloween and horror stuff. So maybe I need to spend more time in New Orleans. You know what? I'm going to reach out. You know, I know who watches this show. Jay the Plug, who's a big New Orleans fan. Where are you, Jay? Let's go, man. Show me around New Orleans. I'm in. I'm ready. Graves above ground. The whole everything that I love it.
It's not ridiculous, Tone, that it was just a fluke thing.
So you have New Orleans 3?
I do, because New Orleans is real spooky like that. So I don't think it was the conspiracy. I don't think it was something that was fixed. It's just that's how New Orleans is.
I don't think I've ever had a conspiracy under 5. I think every one of mine has been like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think it was a fluke thing too. I'm actually gonna say like a 2. I really think it was just a bad, just timing was like, do you remember Bull Durham, I believe was the movie. Do you remember that movie with Kevin Costner? Great baseball movie. And they're playing horrible. They're on a losing streak. And the guys are like, man, I wish we could get a rain out. And Kevin Costner's like, grab some beers, come with me. We're going to make a rain out. and they turn on the sprinklers and they flood the field. I believe that could have happened more likely in baseball than this happening. But it's a good conspiracy. But I can just see like with the halftime show and all that kind of stuff, something could get flipped. I wish it could be lower. It could be like a 0 if I had a more concrete. The only thing that bothers me is that it was such a big blowout. And the answer is we don't know something. So unless they're covering up, I think it's more they're covering up for the person that screwed up more than it was a conspiracy to do something to the game. As much as I would love it to be a conspiracy, I don't think it is.
Of course.
I would love it. But you know what sold me? I would have said a 7. It's all the stuff that happened in New Orleans. You swayed me over. See, and to those people, this is for all those people that think I'm kind of pig-headed. Listen, man, if you give me good evidence, I can be swayed. I'm open.
Can't argue facts, man. You can't argue facts.
I can. Listen, I had an argument where I clearly lost. And someone said to me, "Ooh, you lost that one." You know what I responded? Can't win them all. That's it. That's it. Just you can't win them all.
Not all of them.
Yeah, so you can't. All right. So you brought up the NCAA. Can we just, because I brought up Donovan Mitchell, you pulled the Donovan Mitchell. How bad was that?
That was terrible. That was absolutely terrible. Not to mention, I immediately thought, we just got finished talking about, Tone. I immediately thought about that the fact that we were in the huddle and we went over this. When he drew up the play on the out-of-bounds play, we went over this. We don't have any more timeouts. So I already know that.
It's the first thing your coach tells you or the assistant coach tells you. Hey, guys, no timeouts. Or one timeout call. Like, whatever it is.
Right. We have no more timeouts. So I know that coming out of the huddle, with whatever it is that we wanted, no matter what I do, I cannot call timeout. Because why? We don't have any more, and that's going to kill us.
That's just – and everybody's like, oh, he pulled his best Chris Webber. Chris is never going to live that down. Ever,
Tone.
So to your – listen, you already won this, but let's go through it anyways and make the rest of our picks the rest of the way. So we got the dream matchup. Duke and North Carolina, NCAA Final Four. Do you know how many times Duke and North Carolina have matched up in the Final Four?
0.
How is that possible?
We almost had it in 1991. Almost.
With all the great teams.
Yep.
These two historic schools, Duke and North Carolina, this rivalry, they've never met in the Final. That's crazy to me. That's crazy.
One time. Nope. We almost had it in 1991 when Duke ends up beating Vegas, but North Carolina loses to Kansas to go to the national championship. We almost had it in 1991. Since then, we have not had it.
I can't believe I see it. I know it. It's a fact. And I'm like, I can't. No. I'm like, they made a mistake. Someone made a mistake. No.
Yeah.
Right, so you've got no precedent. You've got no background. You've got no Final Four record against each other. All you know is you got Duke, North Carolina. Who you got?
Well, Tone, I'm not a big fan of revenge. I don't use words like revenge. I don't use words like retribution because those words are attached to something bad, right? I'm more on the page of we got to square this. Well, what do you mean square this, OG? Well, when we make a deal and somewhere along the line it goes wrong, well, we got to make this right. We have to fix this. So you got the University of North Carolina, who Duke comes into Chapel Hill and smokes them, Tone. They don't beat them, smokes them by 20, comes into their building. So now Coach K, he's got his swan song season going on. This is his last season in college basketball. He's never going to coach in college basketball again. We're in Cameron Indoor Stadium. Last game ever coaching in Cameron Indoor Stadium, and they lose. Not only do they lose to North Carolina.
Could there be like no worse team for them?
There could be a worse team, which is why when you and I first started to make our picks, I told you that I had ulterior motives here. The reason why I had ulterior motives is because I want to see North Carolina in the Final Four because we got to square this. We can't end the show with this right here being the end of it. No, we got to square this. I think Duke handles them tomorrow night. I think Duke handles them.
Handles?
Tomorrow. I think they handle North Carolina. I don't think they beat North Carolina. I think they handle them. Absolutely.
I definitely think I definitely think Duke comes in motivated. And I think I've kind of voted against Duke. I had Duke out, and so obviously I didn't pick them to be in the Final Four.
Right.
But the whole Krzyzewski, like you said, like his last dance, his swan song, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I think Duke gets it done. I don't think it's a blowout.
No,
but I don't think it's close either. I think it's I think Duke wins like where it's not like a last second type of thing.
No, I think they handle these dudes. I do. Yeah. I think they handle them.
Okay, so we both got Duke.
Mm-hmm.
The next matchup, we got Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Villanova.
You got Villanova.
And Villanova. Mm-hmm. And Villanova. You picked Villanova to be in the Final Four.
I did. And I picked Providence to be in the Final Four. I have Kansas.
I wasn't gonna bring it up, but
I had Providence in the Final Four. But
I picked Kansas. There's my one.
Did.
I picked
Yes, Kansas. You did pick Kansas. When I look at this Villanova team, the Big East might be the best conference in the country. It might be. When I look at the ACC, when I look at the Big Ten, I think the Big East might be the best conference in the country. Now, when I look at what Villanova does, I mean, they lost their best perimeter player. They lost one of their better perimeter players towards Achilles. So they lost him for the rest of the tournament. But they have so many guys. And Villanova is one of those teams where they're not just scrap tone. They're great on the backboard. They're great in transition. And they're great half-court defensively. So I think Kansas is up against these guys. I don't think that they have enough in the end to pull away from Kansas. I think Kansas will beat them, but I think it's going to be a dogfight.
Oh, so you're picking Kansas?
I think it's going to be a dogfight, Tone.
I was hoping that you would stick with your team Villanova, because I'm going to ride Kansas right into the national championship game because they're the only team. You other teams out there, just listen. Y'all let me down. All my picks were good picks. It wasn't my fault. It was your fault. Kansas. I'm gonna go with Kansas because that's the one team that I picked in the Final Four. So I'm picking them right through to the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
So now we got Kansas, Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this is truly Coach K's farewell national championship right off into the sunset as a champ, or do the Kansas Jayhawks spoil the party?
Well, let me put something on your mind real quick, Tone. I'm a huge fan of divine intervention. I think that there are things that are just set in stone. Do you know Duke's first national championship, who it was against?
I'm going to guess it's against Kansas. That's why you're bringing it up.
1991. They beat Kansas in the national championship for the first time.
And who's the coach?
Absolutely. Mike Krzyzewski.
So his first national title win was against Kansas.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this may be his last one, or it will be his last game.
Against who?
Against Kansas.
And I doubt very seriously that we're going to change this theme. I doubt very seriously.
So you got Duke, you got Coach K riding off into the sunset with the net that he's cut down and swung over his shoulder, riding off.
I don't think it's
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yeah, it just works out that way. In this particular situation, not to mention, Tone, what I saw for example, with North Carolina, when I saw them against St. Peter's, at some point, you just got to let your guy. We're just bigger, faster, and stronger than it.
Right.
And Coach K is great at letting his guys loose. He knows that I can X and O you all day long, but at some point, my better players, I got to turn them loose. And I think that at some point during this game, he's going to turn his guys loose. And I think that's going to be the difference in the game. That's why they beat Kansas.
Do you know why I hate almost every movie?
Because it ends the same way. Because it ends the same way.
Because the good guy always somehow finds a way. The villain always does something dumb. I stopped watching James Bond movies because I'm like, you've caught him. You've strapped him down. You could easily, I don't want to get too vulgar, put a bullet in his head and it's done. But instead, do you know what I expect, Mr. Bond? I expect you to die. And then you wait 35 minutes, you tell him your whole plan, and he has time to escape, get out, and now I know your plan, and you're done. And it drives me nuts. I wish someone would give me some money to make a movie, because my opening scene would be the superhero getting killed. And now the world goes into this state of peril. It's the purge all over again.
I will tell you, Tone, there are times when I'd like to see the villain win. There are, because
there's some good villains,
right? and they have great plans, and I'm thinking, I really don't want this plan to go to waste. This is a great plan. I want to see this. I want to see this
I want to see what happens if he pulls.
I want to see this through. Absolutely, I don't want to see this go the other way. I was a diehard as a prime example. I absolutely wanted to see Hans get away with it because it was a great plan. I did. I wanted to see him get away with that.
I think it goes back to my childhood because growing up, you and I, we're of that age, and I don't know if you watch wrestling as much as I do, like WWF wrestling. I know it's called E now, but and it was always like Hulk Hogan would be done, and then like he'd do his, he Hulk up and beat you, and every time I was cheering for Macho Man, Andre the Giant, King Kong Bundy, whoever was the bad guy that he had to defeat. That's why I wanted to beat him because I was sick of eating my vitamins and saying my prayers, and it was too nice for me. I would listen. How many times do you see me wear black? Like 90% of the time.
All the time.
It just I wanted the bad guy to win.
Yeah.
So I want the bad guy to win. I want Kansas to go in there. I want them to, I spent some time in Kansas, so I want them to rock, chalk, and Jayhawk their way all over Mike Krzyzewski's grave and dance and celebrate and watch him cry as he walks out losing his last game. That's what I want to see. I'd actually like to see it in dramatic fashion where he thinks he's going to win and then like some prayer 3 goes up and they lose by 1 and he's just devastated. That's what I want to see. I like pain. I like I remember that Method Man. There was an intro to one of the Method Man or Wu-Tang's like, I like the pain. I like the misery. I like this world. That's me. That's what the guy. So I've got Kansas just destroying Mike Krzyzewski and making him want to come back for another year. I want him to sit there this summer and be like, should I come back? I can't end it like that.
No, coach.
How can I leave my career on a loss like that? I want it to haunt him. I want when they make the movie of his incredible career to be like at the end, they don't even want to show it. It's just like in letters after Coach Krzyzewski.
Do you hear this hate for Duke? Do you hear this hate for the Duke right here? Just for the establishment. That's what you sound like, Tone. Hating the establishment. You sound like you hate it.
Who was my favorite college player growing up?
Who was your favorite college player growing up, Tone?
Oh, I'll give you a hint. He went to play with my Lakers, with my favorite NBA player, Magic Johnson.
Who was your favorite college player growing up? It wasn't Jabbar. It wasn't Byron Scott. He went to play. Oh, James Worthy. I'm sorry.
James Worthy. And what school did James Worthy go to?
He went to North Carolina.
He went to North Carolina. How do I feel about Duke?
Of course. So now it makes sense. All right. Now it makes sense. Okay. Now it makes sense. All right. We're good now.
So listen. They're lucky that I'm even letting them get into the
the hatred runs deep,
only
folks.
Because I want
he hates
them to lose. Only because I want them to lose.
The hatred runs deep.
So I think me, James, Mike, Kenny Smith, Sam Perkins, we're all gonna get together.
They're gonna be there too, by the way. They're all gonna be there. They're absolutely gonna be there.
I might have to go sit with them. And
Jordan, James Worthy, they're all gonna be there. No doubt about that.
No, see, they like Coach K. They'll probably want Coach K to win. They want to go.
No. Never. Absolutely. Well, just so you know, as much.
Oh, you're saying Duke, North Carolina. I was saying at the next game. Oh, yeah.
Right. They're not going to that. No.
But I think they should. Because I think we should all sit together and laugh as Coach K cries his way after. Okay. I know. I'm just off shit. But anyways. All right. So we've got, so that we're clear, we both got Duke over North Carolina. We both have Kansas over Villanova. You have Duke winning it all. I have Kansas winning it all. So there's our Final Four picks. If you're betting, go with him because he has a better record than I do. If you just love chaos, go with me. All right. We're going to switch to the pros. And I'm going to let you go because you got beef with the NBA All NBA team. They made a change that you're a huge fan of, I say sarcastically. Tell us about what your beef is and how can Adam Silver correct it for you? Okay. First and foremost, you know how I feel about being an All-NBA performer. I take being an All-NBA performer very important. More important than an All-Star. More important than almost as important as winning a ring, if not more important. Than winning a ring. I put it at the top of my list. Being an All-NBA performer. There's a reason why Jabbar wasn't first-team All-NBA every year. Well, the reason why is because he had competition. He had to deal with Moses. There's a reason why Olajuwon wasn't first-team All-NBA every year. Well, he had to deal with Ewing, and he had to deal with David Robinson, he had to deal with Shaq. He had to deal with those guys. But on the flip side to that, there's a reason why Karl Malone was first-team All-NBA all of those years. There's a reason why Kobe Bryant was first-team All-NBA all of those years. There's a reason why Jordan was first-team All-NBA all of those years, and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and LeBron James and Kevin Durant, because they dominated their position.
And because they dominated their position, they deserved that spot. In the NBA, Adam Silver, David Stern did not open up a spot and go, well, you're playing really good and you're playing really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this and I'm going to make you, even though you've never played the center spot all season, LeBron, I'm going to open up the center spot for you because you and Kevin Durant are really close. So I'm going to open up the guard spot for you, Kevin Durant, because you and James are really close. No, this is what the competition aspect of this is about. So I'm not going to open up another spot for Joker. I'm not going to open up a spot at the forward spot for Joker, who, by the way, Tone, hasn't played forward all season. He's listed as a 5. He's played the 1 and the 5, just the same as Embiid, who has not played forward the entire season. He's listed as a 5. That's what his position is. And that makes me nuts that you're doing that, because not only are you lessening what they did, now you also lessening what the competition did. Oh, it makes me nuts. Can't handle it.
So that we're clear, for those that didn't catch that, because that was fantastic. That was your minute of chill. They've opened up the forward slots for Embiid and Jokic. So basically saying, hey, whoever gets the center spot, we're going to give you we're going to give a forward spot to the other one, so that you're both first all NBA. Correct? That's basically what they've done.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Would you feel better if they just allowed Jokic to be considered a guard?
No, I wouldn't. Absolutely not, because he's, like I said, once again, Tone, this is the competition aspect of this. Because now what you're doing is when you open up that forward spot, you're telling James, what you did, it was okay, but it wasn't better than this guy. You're telling Kevin Durant, you're telling Giannis, you're telling all the great forwards what they did, it doesn't matter. Because why? Because this guy who plays the center and hasn't played the forward spot all season long, I'm going to move you guys out and I'm going to discredit and diminish everything you did because of what he did at his position. It makes me nuts, Tone. I can't.
Let me ask you this. Because the way that it's set up is based on, and I'm not saying what they're doing is right. I'm just going to put a scenario out here for you. When you go back historically, the NBA was point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. Okay?
No, it wasn't, Tone. But keep going. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Historically, no, not for all NBA. I mean, just for in general. You're right. You had a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5. 1, 2 were guards, 3, 4 were forwards, 5 was the center. Right? You agree on?
Okay.
You agree on that part.
Okay.
We got to agree on that part first. Okay.
Okay.
Do teams play 3 guards?
Yes, they do.
Do they play 3 forwards?
Yes,
no
they
center.
do. Yes, they do.
Could they? Now, I guess technically, could they play 2 centers? Right? Hakeem and Ralph Sampson. I know I'm going back a ways. That was 2 centers.
Well, how about the big kid in I'm looking at him, Mason Plumlee? He was in Denver with Joker. Both of those guys played a 5.
They're both the 5.
Both of those guys played a 5, and they were on the floor at the same time.
So I guess the reason I bring that all up is,
right,
if you only have 2 positions for guards, 2 positions for forward, 1 position for center, but a team is playing 3 guards or 3 forwards or 2 centers or no center, have we grown or evolved? I guess everyone likes this word. Have we evolved past those distinctions? Because, for example, I know I'm bringing up. It's because I had this conversation yesterday. Scotty Barnes of the Toronto Raptors, the sensational rookie from the Toronto Raptors. He did something, and he's the first person to do it in the NBA since Magic as a rookie. So since 79-80, when Magic was a rookie, Scottie Barnes is the first rookie to start at every position. So he started at point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center for the Raptors. How do you define his position as, well, he's a 3? Where he played the most? Right. But is that really indicative of the player?
Right.
And the reason I bring that up is because you have guys like James, who can play center one night, plays point guards most nights, even though they call him a small forward. But I mean, if you look at his years in the NBA, I've seen point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. How do you define guys like Jokic? Jokic is the point forward, I guess. So are we creating this box based on our old thinking that we need to grow from? Because I don't want to do this. I don't want to say, okay, the best 5 players, because then you might have 5 centers. That kind of skews it too, right? I don't think it would be that way. However, like, how can we make it better while still kind of admitting, realizing, addressing the fact that teams don't play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 anymore?
I'm glad you mentioned that, Tone.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm glad you mentioned that is because Joker, for example, he is a primary ball handler in Denver.
Yeah.
Right? So not only is he the primary ball handler in Denver, he's also their distributor as well. Can you tell me, Tone, who is second in the league in rebounding?
I know he's a point center.
That's Joker, okay? Yeah. Can you tell me who leads Denver in blocks?
Yeah, it's Jokic.
That's the 5-man. That's who the 5-man is. Same idea with Joel Embiid. Who leads the Philadelphia 76ers in rebounding? Joel Embiid does. So with that being said, and also in block shots, so with the point that I'm making is that when you are listed at a certain position, you are elite at those things. Now, you do other things. Great. So Scotty Barnes being listed at the small forward, he might be an exceptional ball handler. He might be an exceptional playmaker, right? He might be able to shoot the long ball. But at the small forward spot, he is elite in the open floor. He is becoming, I think he's going to become an elite defender.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's going to become an elite transition player. I think he's going to become an elite one-on-one player, which is what the 3-man does.
I see a better shooting Scottie Pippen.
Right. So, and with that being said, you can do the other things, but the stuff that you are listed as, when you are elite at that, that's who you are. So when I see what Joker is elite at, when I see Joker as one of the better rebounders in the game, when I see Joker as one of the better rim protectors in the game, especially for his team, I mean, he also leads the league in defensive win shares. He does do that.
Isn't he also an elite playmaker?
Yeah, absolutely, he's that. But I'm listed at the 5, and in the process of me being listed at the 5, I do elite 5 things. Okay. Does he do elite 1 things?
I don't have a name to give you as an example, but I'll give you a scenario. So I'm listed as a 5,
right?
But I'm Robin Lopez.
Right.
I don't rebound. I get 5-6 rebounds a game.
Right.
But I'm a great 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
Do I now become a guard? Because I don't do anything elite that a 5-man would do.
Nope. And not only do you not become a guard, you're not in the conversation to be an All-NBA.
No, I'm saying assuming he was good enough.
This is what I'm saying.
But he doesn't rim protect and he doesn't rebound. So let's assume Robin Lopez, is shooting 45% from 3 and he's shooting 10 a game.
Which he does that anyway.
Well, I'm adding numbers.
Right. He does that anyway.
So how's he the 5-man now?
He's a long ball shooter, and he does rebound. He's just not at Joker's level. He's not at Embiid's level.
But he's not playing good enough to be considered an all-pro in the scenario that I've made up in my head. How do you define him? Do you still make him a 5 even though he doesn't do the 5 thing? Like, as long as, assuming he does, because he doesn't rebound and block.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why, absolutely. And you know why? Because the other guys who are listed at the 5 spot, just like him, do those things much better than him. So he's out the conversation.
So
absolutely out the conversation.
So you're telling me, even though Robin Lopez, we've just picked the name out of the hat
right.
for anyone who just joined. So even though Robin Lopez is averaging 35 points a game,
right,
3 steals a game, 17 assists, but 0 rebounds, 0 blocks, he's not going to get voted in as an All-Pro?
If he's going to get voted in as an All-Pro, that means that we have to completely change up the criteria. Because now if he ain't listed, we absolutely have to do that because he's not doing anything the 5-man does. Nothing.
Exactly.
He's not doing anything that the 5-man does. So now we got to change the criteria, which goes back to what you just got finished mentioning about now we're going to take positions out of it and we're just going to have the best 5 players. Well, wait a minute, we can't do that because now we're diminishing what these guys who do play positions. We're diminishing what they're doing.
Because don't you think as the years go on, we're going to see more of that? Like, I feel like Joker is like, I get it, he's an exceptional player, but I don't think he's going to be the exception. Like right now, he's the exception, not the rule.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like big men are going to be shooting more. They're going to be passing more. They're going to be doing these things more. And eventually we're going to have a 7-foot center who does what I just said, who doesn't rebound and block shots because they're always outside shooting.
Well, we got guys like Joker. We got guys like Embiid, Cat.
Yeah, but they do all the other stuff too. I'm saying
they also
eventually find one who doesn't do that stuff.
Right, but the guys that we grew up with, Tone, Lajuan, Shaq, those guys are gone. So let's forget about those guys.
Those guys are
Jabbar, those guys are gone. So Embiid, Joker, Cat, these guys are the future of the league. This is what the league is moving toward. A big guy who does rebound. I mean, Cat averages, I think, 11 rebounds, almost 12 rebounds a game for the last 5 years. Bam is an elite rebounder. Cat, Bam, Embiid. This is the future of the NBA, but these guys still do 5-man things.
So you're saying is regardless of how the game changes and their position evolves,
right?
To be that 5 and to be an all-pro, they're still going to have to do those things because someone has to, and it's not going to be. And it's not going to be.
Otherwise,
because the way I look at it is this: I was raised, you were raised, like I said, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward. But I was having this conversation with someone else about Steph, and they're like, "Well, no, Steph's a point guard." I'm like, "No, he's not." And they're like, "Yeah, he is." And I said, "No, he's not." And they're like, "Why?" Because he doesn't play point guard the way you want him to. And I said, "No, because a point guard is a lead primary ball handler, lead distributor. That's a point guard. He is a scoring guard or a combo guard or a shooting guard. Because what does he do? Heck, he shoots. What the hell is a 2 called? A shooting guard. Yes. He literally is the definition of a shooting guard. Allen Iverson, shooting guard.
Right.
And so and then he was like, well, you can't. And they tried to make excuses. And I said, look, I'd rather you say instead of 5, like there might be, listen, maybe it's time that we say, well, there's a point guard, a combo guard, a small forward. There's probably more things for those. I'm just giving some example. A stretch 4 versus a power forward, because a stretch 4 does not do what a power forward does. Right? They're not down on the block. They're not rebounding. They're not blocking shots. They're not doing the dirty work. They're sitting outside. And like Dirk Nowitzki is not a power forward, right? He's a stretch 4.
That's what it is. I never heard the term when Carmelo was running around. I never heard stretch 4 and Carmelo in the same
it didn't
sense.
Exist.
No, I didn't. Yeah. I never heard that. Even though he had a money mid-range game, I've never heard stretch 4 and Carmelo. Never heard Xavier McDaniel in stretch 4 in the same sense. Never heard.
I don't think I ever saw Xavier McDaniel stretch.
Right.
But I mean, and then there's point forwards, right? You've got Giannis. You had Pippen. Let's be honest, you had Pippen doing it. Like, let's not think it's just today. You had Pippen doing it. You've had, I said Giannis doing it. LeBron does it. Like tons of forward. Rashard Lewis used to run like there's guys who've been forwards who've run the point.
Right.
So it's like, do we add distinctions? But then how do you pick? You can't have 10 all-pro first teams.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, Tom. I'm glad you mentioned that because now the idea is it's 2 guards, 2 forwards in a center. It doesn't have to be a point guard and a 2 guard. It's just 2 guards.
Yeah, fair
so
enough.
I seen Magic and Isaiah Thomas be first team All NBA. I seen Kevin Johnson and John Stockton be second team All NBA. I seen Jordan and Drexler be first team All NBA. I seen Kevin Durant and LeBron James be first team All NBA. I seen that. So I don't have a problem with that. But what they didn't do was they didn't tell Clyde Drexler that we're going to open up a forward spot for you.
Yeah, no.
No, we're not going to do that.
That I understand. But see, again, I don't want to take more time on this, but here's where it gets gray for me. Like, do we have 6 and add 2? Why does the center only get 1? You can play with 2 centers. Why does the center only get 1 spot?
So we only got 5 guys on the floor. We can't play with 6 guys on the floor. No, we ain't doing that.
In today's world, we got to be fair. Everybody's going.
Oh my God.
No, but the other part. Got to get a ribbon. My other one is you mentioned opening up a forward spot for Clyde, but there are guys who go shooting guard, small forward, right? Like DeMar DeRozan comes to mind, right? His career in Toronto was a shooting guard, but he's kind of transitioned to small forward.
He's listed as a power forward, Tom.
No, he's not listed as a power forward.
If you go to Basketball Reference today, you will see DeMar DeRozan is listed as a 4. I know that's nuts.
3 I can get with, but I remember right in my Toronto days, Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady, they were both kind of shooting guard, small forward, like they could flip back and forth. Those 2 wing positions are interchangeable, so that's why I say there's a lot of gray area. But hey, maybe those guys are the exception to the rule. So all right, we go 2 guards, 2 forwards, 2 small forwards. 2 forwards, 1 center. I'm with you. I don't like it either. I'm not quite as passionate about it as you are, but I don't like it either. So let us know in the comments. Let's start our petition to David Stern. Stop the nonsense. That's what it's going to be called. I'll send you the link. All right. It's time for mail drop. Here we go. Question 1. I like when they put specific names in their questions. Recently, Fluent, that's me, ranked these 4 players And the person who sent this, by the way, did not like my rankings. I'm not going to tell you how I rank them. I'm going to ask you how you want to rank them, and then I'll tell you how I rank them and what sparked this. All right. So it says, let me start over. Recently, Fluent ranked these 4 players. How do you rank them, Chill? That's him. Trae Young, Devin Booker, Jayson Tatum, Ja Morant.
Ja Morant. So
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not ranking them. I'm ranking them for what's going on right now. Right now, what's going on. So at the top of that list, I think it's Jayson Tatum. I think right next to him is Devin Booker. I think right behind him, it's Trae Young. And I think right behind him is Ja Morant. The reason why I say that, I think that Jayson Tatum is a bit ahead of schedule. I had him in the next year or 2 years in the conversation for being not only in the league MVP conversation, but being the best player in the game. Well, he's in the league MVP conversation today. So he's actually ahead of schedule for me. I actually had him 2 years from now in the best player. I think he'll be the best player in the game in the next 2 years. I believe that. Devin Booker, I think that you can make the argument that he's the best 2 guard in the game. He's sacrificed a lot of his game this season because the Suns are so complete as a team that he doesn't have to do nearly as much as he did before he got Chris Paul.
Right.
But I still think that he's at the top of the list when we're talking about guard. We're talking about 2 guards.
Damian Lillard said he should be the first name that comes out of your mouth when you're talking MVP.
Well, I'm not going to go that far, but I know that he's definitely played. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's got 13 30-point games this season. That's good enough for 3rd in the league. Just him alone, right? Just him alone. But when I look at Trae Young, I think Trae Young is a top 3-point guard in the game. We talking about a guy who he's almost 30-10. That's nuts to me. I don't care if you on the worst team in the NBA. If you 30-10, that's the same. I kind of equate that to, and I hear a lot of people talk about empty stats. You can talk that empty stats nonsense to me all you want.
If empty stats were easy, everybody would have them. So
that's why I'm not trying to. I'll bring it to your neck of the woods, Tone, in football. That's like the guy that's playing for, I don't know, Houston. He ran for 2,500 yards. Well, I ain't gonna say 2,500 yards. He ran for 2,000 yards, and he's at the bottom of the league. That doesn't negate the fact that he ran for 2,000 yards. I don't care that he's playing on a bad team. It's still a big deal.
Trust me, there's tons of quarterbacks who have 4,000-yard passing seasons, and their team, Matthew Stafford, went 0-16.
Right.
Because you're always losing, so you're throwing the ball. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And I think he's on it. Ja was playing the best at one point out of everybody. But when I think about him as an overall player, I think that Memphis team covers up a lot of his defensive deficiencies, him particularly. When you on a really good defensive team, you kind of look better defensively as opposed to when you're on a solid defensive team, it kind of opens up a lot of gray area for you as a defender.
I always tell people, 1, defense is a skill.
Absolutely.
2, it can be affected greatly by your effort. 3, there's a reason we call it help defense. If your team is really good, they're also really good at health defense. They're also really good at communicating. And when I go back to the skill of defense, one of those skills is positioning. And when you have a good defensive team and you're out of position, what do your teammates tell you? Move.
Move.
Watch behind you. Watch the backdoor cut. Hey, step up on that. But that's how this is how we play defense. You communicate. So the better your team is on defense, the better you become, because if you're just trying, because everybody else, your effort steps up when everybody else's effort steps up, and if they're helping you with your positioning, well, you'd already got 2 checks that you might not have had before, so you're already better than you would have been.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I looked at it from the whole year. I also put into account what my expectations were for these players, and my expectations for certain players were higher. I had the exact opposite. I had Ja 1. You know how I feel about Ja.
I do.
I had Trae 2, Booker 3, Tatum 4. And it's not that Tatum is bad or worse than these guys. I'm waiting. I keep saying this. I'm waiting for Tatum to be that guy. He should be the MVP or in that MVP conversation, and he is now, but he should have been in that MVP conversation all season. I don't know why it took him that long. So when I look at the season, that's how I ranked him. Who's playing best now? Sure. I don't like the recency of who played great this week. Like Booker scores 70
because that
points.
changes so much.
Booker scores 70 points. He's the greatest scorer of all time.
Right.
I don't like that stuff. Okay.
And then next week he's trash. So right. Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll flip the football with question number 2. Bruce Arians has retired. Was he forced out or did he choose to go out?
Well, I thought about this earlier today, Tone. If you think about having somebody at your job, this is your livelihood, by the way. How bad does it have to get for them to make you quit your job? How bad of a relationship does it have to be for you to go, I can't handle this anymore. I quit my job because of you. I'm not quitting because I'm not very good at the job. I'm not going to go get another job. I quit. And I quit primarily because I can't handle you. I'm having a difficult time believing that Bruce Arians is quitting his job because he got ran out by Tom Brady. I'm not buying that one bit. That's first of all. Number 2,
greatest quarterback ever.
Right. That's first of all. Number 2, I remember you and I had a conversation very adamantly. I remember this and very passionately when I talked about Bruce Arians when he was in that post game conference talking about AB and how short he was, but the look on his face was, I let you guys suck me into this nonsense, and I'm so pissed at myself because I really didn't want to do this in the first place, right? And he still didn't quit his job at that point. He was like, I'm good, I'm straight. But now Tom Brady's coming back, who he won a Super Bowl with. He's gonna go, yeah, you know what? I think that it's best that I quit my job because I can't handle that guy. How about the fact that I'm 70 years old and I've been doing this for the last 50 years? And maybe it's time for me to step off. How about that?
Okay. So here's what I got. I got the devil on this side and the angel on this side. So let's start with the devil because that's what I do. The devil says Tom Brady told Tampa Bay. That's why the whole thing about his retirement, remember, it was leaked and then he was all upset and he didn't want anybody to say anything. That's why it was all very, we didn't know. And he basically said to Tampa Bay, I want to come back, but I'm not playing for Bruce Arians anymore because there were rumors that there was a rift between the two. He says, I'm not coming back with Bruce Arians. That's it. I'm done. I'm retiring. Tampa Bay, Bruce Arians are having conversations. Tom Brady, his agent, they're having conversations. They say, hey, you know what? There's no quarterback for Tampa Bay. The NFC South is wide open. We can win this thing. Well, if we bring Tom back, we can, but Tom won't play for Bruce. Mm-hmm. Well, sorry, Bruce says, well, I can't play. Right? They can go back and forth. Mm-hmm. Tampa Bay reaches out to Bruce and say, listen, you're 70 years old. It's time for you to retire. But here's what we're going to do for you. Mm-hmm. We're going to give you a nice, cushy consulting job with a big salary, and you can just chillax because you've kind of already said next year might be my last year anyways, right? He's already said this. So let's do it a year early. Let's send you away, or not even send you away. Keep you with the team, keep you in Tampa, nice big salary. You won't have to deal with Brady. You won't have to deal with all the headaches. You can just have a job I would love. And he says, okay. They call up Tom and they say, hey, Tom, here's what's going to happen. Tom goes, are you sure? Yep, but here's how we're going to do it. You're going to unretire. Then we're going to wait a couple of weeks for things to settle. And then Bruce is going to step down. So it doesn't look like you forced him out. All parties say good. That's what the devil says. Mm-hmm. That's
not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous.
I like that line. It's my new favorite line. Mm-hmm. My shirt is going to say, that's not ridiculous, by the way. Coming soon to a merchandise store near you. We're very close, like May, guys. Okay. Mm-hmm. Here's the angel on this side. The angel on this side says Bruce Arians has Tom Brady under contract, I believe, or figures he's going to play one more year after this year. Mm-hmm. And he says, okay, I'm going to coach for one more year. And then he says, I'm going to retire after next year. Then Tom Brady retires. Now, one thing you have to give it to Bruce, whether you love or hate Bruce Arians, there's no coach in the NFL, in NFL history, who has done more for diversity in terms of coaches, minority coaches, female coaches. Like no one has done more.
Facts.
He looks at that and he hears us all, including you and I, screaming and saying, yeah, it's great. Houston hired a black coach. on the worst freaking team, and then they fired him because it was the worst. What was he going to do? No one could coach that team. What do they do the next year? Hire another one. Lovey, good luck. And what does he have? The worst team in the league. How's he going to succeed?
Mm-hmm.
So Bruce Arians, being the guy who's, when it comes to diversity, leads the league, says, I am not going to put one of my assistants into this head coaching job where they're going to fail. I'll take that. I'll take it on. I'll be the guy that has the bad year and the team stinks and all that kind of stuff. And then I'll step down and we'll promote someone. And then, that'll give the time to say, okay, it wasn't that new coach's fault.
Right.
So we could retool the team.
Mm-hmm.
But then Tom Brady says, hey guys, you know what? I kind of want to come back. Bruce says, okay, you can come back, but I don't know that I want to be the coach anymore. What'd you have in mind? Well, I'm going to make you the quarterback / almost offensive coordinator. You can kind of make up your own offense. Wow, I'm in, Brady says. What do you do, head coach? Well, everybody loves Todd Bowles. Like, everybody on that defense loves Todd Bowles. We're going to promote him. And now he's in a position where he can now succeed. If you think of the 3 black coaches in the NFL, Lovie Smith, who's his quarterback? Mills?
Yes.
Tomlin, who's his quarterback? Trubisky?
Yep, Mitch Trubisky.
Bowles, who's his quarterback? Tom Brady. Who's in the best position to succeed, right?
Todd Bowles.
I think if the angel here says he didn't want to put in a coach into a position that was going to fail, and once he realized, oh, Tom Brady's back, you have a winner, right? Because let's be honest, whether Brady wins another Super Bowl or not, that team's going to have a winning record, right? They're going to be okay, I think, unless he gets hurt or something. So the angel says that's what it is. He was waiting for the right moment. The devil is like, nah, man. Tom Brady was like, out. Now that I've given both sides, do you stick to your? He was 70 years old and retiring, or
well,
because the forced out one now kind of makes sense too, right?
The forced out one does make sense, Tom. But here's the logic: the idea that I'm just thinking about a guy who's 70 years old and I've been around this thing for so long and I've had so much success, failure too, but I've had so much success that I'm actually good stepping away, and I'm not stepping away under duress. And the fact that there's rumors that I'm stepping away under duress, I'm going to dispel those. When he has his press conference, I'm going to dispel those rumors simply because we won a Super Bowl together. The last year when we lost in the playoffs, we were a team that was in disarray. We had Antonio Brown in here, who I didn't want in the first place. All right, I didn't want him here in the first place, and we had a dynamic on our unit that was just pulling us apart. I won't just say that it was Antonio Brown, yeah. But it was a bunch of different things that were going on. Our defense wasn't as good as it was last year.
They had a lot of injuries
defense was, so there was a number of different things that went into why we didn't go back to the Super Bowl. And I know you want to throw in the idea that, well, maybe there was a rift between me and Tom. No, it wasn't. But we did have some problems. But it wasn't enough for me to just go, all right, I quit. It wasn't that bad that I quit. I've been doing this for 50 years, man. There's no reason for me to just step away just like that because I'm not getting along with a quarterback. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of quarterbacks that he wasn't that fond of. I mean, I got Tom Brady coming back, and we got a legit shot at winning it again. So why would I not want to stay? And I don't think he got ran out.
Okay. There is talk. We'll move on to the next topic. However, I will say there was also talk that Tom Brady kind of is craving a little bit more structure. He kind of misses the Bill Belichick Patriot way because Bruce Arians a little.
I don't buy that.
Yeah, I don't buy that either. All right.
I don't buy that.
The last, we're going to the last one. This is going to be, we're going to play a game of contender pretender with the NBA playoff team. So the top 10 teams currently, contender or pretender. We're going to start in the East, go 10 up to 1. And then do the same for the West. Just contender or pretender. Just rapid fire. Atlanta Hawks.
Pretender.
Charlotte.
Pretender.
The Brooklyn Nets.
Pretender.
Really? Okay.
If the playoffs started today, Tone, just so you know, real quick, if the playoffs started today, the Brooklyn Nets are right in front of Minnesota as the worst defensive team in the game. There's no way, you've been watching the game as long as you have you seen a team that's just going to outscore everybody in the playoffs?
No. However,
good luck.
I'm going to say contender, and it's because as the 8th seed, they're playing Miami, and you'll understand why in a minute. Cleveland.
Okay. Pretender.
Yeah, not ready. Pretender. Toronto.
Pretender.
Toronto is a contender.
Of course you're going to say that, Tone. You're from there. Of course you're going to say contender with Toronto. You're from there.
They're going to be the 5 seed, man. So Chicago.
Pretender.
Yeah. Boston.
Losing Robbie Williams makes them now a pretender.
I would have said contender until the Robbie Williams one as well. I think that's going to hurt a lot. Philadelphia.
Pretender.
Correct answer is pretender. The Milwaukee Bucks.
Contender.
Miami.
Contender.
Pretender.
What's your problem with Miami, Tone? I'm all ears.
I think Miami has holes that we will see come the first round of the playoffs. Part of it's going to be Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And I think that's going to shock the world. So that's the only, if they're playing anybody else, I'll put them back into the contender. But I think they're going to be the surprise. The first time since the Nuggets as the 8 seed took out a number 1 seed. I don't know if I'm correct on that one.
Miami beat the Heat in '98.
Miami beat the Heat.
Yeah, they beat Miami beat the Heat. The Knicks beat the Heat. I'm sorry, Miami beat the Heat. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
the Knicks beat the Heat in '98.
Was that after?
99. I'm sorry.
But that.
The Knicks beat them in
All right.
99. And I'm sorry.
Okay, it doesn't happen that often.
San Antonio beat Memphis beat San Antonio too.
Fine. The rare occasion that the 8 seed beats the 1.
It does happen. It doesn't happen a lot.
You know what? You know why that 8 seed Nuggets team always Mutombo, remember laying on the ground with the ball?
Oh, of course. That was a terrible matchup for them. Terrible.
Yeah, terrible. All right, here we go. I'm going to skip the 10th seed. No, I'm not. Okay, I'll say it. The Lakers.
Pretender.
No comment. No comment. Oh, Lakers, man. What happened, Lakers? All right, New Orleans.
Started. Pretender.
The Clippers.
Pretender.
I just want to point out, you said George had to ease himself in. He didn't look like he eased himself in.
He did not. He did. But also remember too, Tone, that wasn't an anomaly. What happened, because if you remember, they were up 25 in the playoffs last year in the elimination game against the Clippers and gave it up again. So I don't know what's going on there. But
fair enough.
So
pretenders, by the way. But I like Paul George coming back. I think that's going to make it at least interesting. But again, they'll probably be facing Phoenix. So Minnesota.
Pretender. But I think Minnesota could be on their way. I think they're on to something in Minnesota.
I think Minnesota, as far as a title contender, is a pretender.
Mm-hmm.
I think you might see the 7th seed beat the 3 seed because love Luka.
Mm-hmm.
I like Anthony Davis and Cat Moore. Anthony Davis, I think, is going to be the best player in this. In 5 years, I feel like we're going to be having conversations about who's better than Anthony Edwards, and people will be like, I don't know. I think he's going to be that good. So we'll see.
Okay.
All right, maybe I'm wrong. Utah, your old state.
Pretender.
Denver.
Pretender.
I'm gonna say contender. I'm gonna say they have an opportunity.
What do you like about Denver to make them
Jokic?
Is it just Jokic? You think Jokic could throw them on his back and take them there?
I think sometimes there are teams. I like teams that have one superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have one superstar, I think back to the Raptors run. Kawhi's the guy. Here's your role. Everybody else, play your damn role. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why I don't feel that? Well, we'll get to it in a second. So that's why I like it. So Golden State.
Pretender. I ain't buying them.
I think so too.
I'm not buying Golden State.
I didn't at the beginning. Then I started to, and yeah, I'm back on that on that pretender train.
Yep.
Dallas.
Pretender. I think that they can make some noise though, Tone. I think that they can shock some people. I do think that. At the 3 seed, I think that they can. Who's the 6th? I think
no, three plays 7, no? Or 3 play, yeah. 3,
no, two plays 7.
Oh,
yeah,
Utah.
2 plays 7.
Oh,
yeah.
Utah. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. I think they can make some noise, Tom.
Then I'm wrong about Minnesota. Minnesota's Minnesota's a pretender. Then I go back and change mine. I thought they were playing Dallas for some reason. They'd be playing Memphis. Yeah, they're done. So Dallas I have as a pretender.
Mm-hmm.
However, Luka because people are gonna say, well, hold on, you just said Jokic and everybody knowing their roles, and then
Mhm.
now with Luka, the difference is I like the pieces around Jokic better than I don't like any of the pieces around Luka. I wish they would just get rid of everybody and bring in 14 new people for
Damn.
Luka. Like
He got them in the 3rd seed though, Tone.
I know
he's got them in the number 3 seed.
I think that speaks to him more than his pieces around him. I don't
Wow.
think, like when I just said about Jokic, where it's like he's the superstar. Okay, you play this, you do this, you do this, you do this. I
Yeah.
don't think they have the guys that you can say you do this. It's just like I can't. It's not like I won't. I can't. To win, to be a contender. Let's be clear. To be a title contender. All right.
Mhm.
Memphis.
I think Memphis is legit, Tone. I do.
I told you they're going to the NBA Finals, so you know how I feel.
I think they're legit. I do.
The Phoenix, the
I
62 and 14 Phoenix.
I think they represent
Suns.
the Western Conference in the NBA Finals.
So you got them.
I do.
We're gonna see. I think we're gonna see Phoenix and Memphis in the Western Conference Finals, and this could be an incredible 7-game series.
The thing I'm worried about with Memphis is I don't like that. Just like we just finished talking about matchups, I don't like Memphis in that matchup with Utah. I don't like that matchup one bit at all.
So you think they could lose in the first round?
I do not like that matchup with Memphis and Utah.
If they get through that,
right? They won't see Utah. Utah's in the 5th spot right now, so they won't see Utah.
No, Utah's in the 6th spot right now.
Okay, so Utah's in the 6th spot, and Memphis is in the 2nd spot.
They would play Minnesota. They would play Minnesota, and then maybe if all the favorites win, they would play Dallas.
Right. If they have to see Minnesota, I'm sorry, if they have to see Memphis in the semifinals, I don't like that matchup for Memphis at all against Utah. Okay. I don't.
Oh, so you think if Utah upsets Dallas and then it's Memphis, Utah?
I don't like that matchup for Memphis at all. I don't.
Okay. All right. So that's it for Contender Pretender. I appreciate everybody for doing what you're about to do, which is hit the follow, hit the likes, tell all your friends, share it, post it, do all that good stuff. Until next week.
Take it light, but take it.
I pointed the right way.